Hi everybody, and welcome back to another episode from your best buddy. We're doing Elder Scrolls Online, as you can see. And since I've run out of dungeons to do so far, since my level is pretty low still, we're going to be doing the dungeons that got lost. The ones that I thought I was recording, but actually didn't. So, first one's up is Darkshade. Let's get this show on the road. Time to get a bunch of Quamas. Or kill a bunch of Quamas. Or something. I'm not sure. Either way, we're just gonna be making our way downtown. Walking fast. I'm homebound, or whatever the lyrics are of that one song that if you were born in the year 2000, you will not know. Anyways. Easy enough. Keep it going, baby. Uh-oh. I'm just gonna rush right through. I'm not even worried. These dungeons, oh, normal dungeons, especially like base game normal dungeons, you can just get right through those, no problem. Not a problem. Just blow it all down. Someone's got a bear. That's pretty cool. You know, I would have a pet bear if I didn't already have the tenacity of one. I'm just a little too cool for that, I suppose. Boom. Alright. Alright. Time to kill some more bugs. Or, so, okay, what are Quama? What are Quama? Are they bugs or are they, like, mammals? Like, they can't be mammals, they lay eggs. You heard it here first, folks. Quama are fish. But that's not exactly a disqualifier of, like, being a mammal laying eggs, you know? Because platypuses? The platypus lays eggs to reproduce. I think the real thing that, like, defines mammals is the fact that someone has mammaries. Mammary glands. Hence the name mammal. So if you think about it that way, the fact that platypus and echidna, the fact that they lay eggs, not so bad, not so out of the ordinary, since live birth isn't exactly what defines it. Because certain sharks, they give live birth, right? Like they still have eggs. But the eggs develop inside of the shark, and then they give the shark, or they push out the shark eventually, the little mama shark. I think seahorses also do that, right? And the fun thing about seahorses is that it's the male that carries like the children, the spawn. So I think, so what happens is they mate, they do their thing, however seahorses do, I'm not exactly sure. But at some point the eggs get put inside of the male seahorse. I don't think the male seahorse creates the eggs, because then it would be like the female seahorse, right? It would be a female. If it could create eggs, that makes it a female. And, so, somehow the eggs get transferred from the female seahorse to the male seahorse, and then the male gestates the eggs, and then births them. And let me tell you, if you've seen a video of like of seahorse birthing, it's interesting. It's almost like it's sneezing. It seizes up. It seizes up all its muscles, it looks like, and then shoots out a couple at a time. And when I say a couple, I mean probably like a few dozen at a time. And then it just keeps doing that. It goes like... And each one of those is like 40 seahorses, little baby seahorses. That's weird, right? Like, underwater stuff, that's just wild. It's just wild. They say space is the final frontier, but we're still figuring out water. We're still figuring out the oceans. There's still a lot to learn. We're finding, like, new species every day. Not even in the ocean, really. Like, just anywhere. We're finding new species every day. Or we're realizing that a species that is already known is actually, like, an actual subspecies of something else. So they have to, like, create its own genus or whatever the hierarchy of creatures is. Like, there's the animal kingdom, and then it goes down all the way to genus, then species. I'm not a biologist. Any biologists in the chat below, let me know. Let me know the hierarchy of. I don't even know what it's called. You know what I'm talking about, though, right? Like the animal king. It's the whole animal kingdom, and then under that, it's like the animal state, and then under that, it's the animal county, and then the animal town, and then the animal house. Right? I'm pretty close. I think that's pretty accurate. I think that's pretty close. And then the people who live in the animal house are the animal genus, and then the people. Never mind. I can't even. I don't even know enough about it to make fun of it. But yeah, the oceans. There's a ton of wild stuff in there. You know, like people. Like biologists and stuff, right? This is something that I think about a lot. When people mention that space. We're going to space now. We're leaving the ocean. We're going to space. The true final frontier or whatever. Who cares? But when people mention, like, a planet, like an exoplanet, and people talk about it, and they say something like, this planet could support life. And they always say it in such a confident way. It could support life. And I'm just thinking, I mean, obviously I'm not the first person to have this thought, but it could support life as we understand life right now. It could support life that also is the similar type of life that already exists here, right? So carbon-based, blah, blah, blah. But who's to say that life has to be like that? You know? I think, say what you want about the fella Neil deGrasse Tyson, whatever. I'm sure he's said some silly stuff before, but I think it was him who said it, was, how do we know that, like a rock on Mars, how do we know that that rock is not a living creature? And you think it's like, oh, it's obvious, it's just a stupid rock. Obviously it's not alive, but keep in mind, we're talking about, like, space, okay? We're talking about, like, outer space. Outer whatever, who knows kind of stuff. We don't know. We don't know. We kind of know some things, but we don't know. But yeah, that's this dungeon. Hope you enjoyed that. We're going to go to the next one right now. See you there. Here we are, dungeon number 2 of the Lost Dungeons list. There were only the 2. But as I was saying, what was I talking about? Space. And the fact that nobody knows nothing about space. 20 years ago, we had books about this is what space is. And now, after 20 years, we're writing new books about this is actually how space is. And obviously there's the like the Einstein stuff about the theory of relativity and all that. That stuff hasn't, as far as I understand it, that stuff hasn't really changed. All that stuff hasn't really changed all that much. It's just that the nature of space is so wild that it keeps finding ways to challenge it, if that makes sense. You know, weird stuff like time and how black holes affect time, and then how quasars affect... I don't know what I'm talking about. But what I was saying is, like, life. You know, life. It has to be like us. But it doesn't have to be like us, right? It could be anything. Life can be anything. Any, like, weird little thing you can think of is potentially possible, right?
You forced our hand.
And if it is, what would that look like? I've always had this interesting idea. I think it's interesting. This concept of like an extraterrestrial that was like fire, right? So you know what fire looks like. It's fire. It's the chemical reaction of fire. And I always thought it was interesting if there was a creature that was essentially just sentient fire, right? It's an alien, it's sentient fire. It just kind of floats around in space being fire. What makes up this fire? I don't know. It just looks like fire. It's just a constant chemical reaction, and it's sentient, and that's life. Or it could be life, or maybe it couldn't be because I'm a stupid and I don't know the first things about chemistry or and stuff like that. But it's interesting to think about though that like think of pictures of like nebula, you know, nebula, nebulae, whatever the plural of it is. And there's all this smoky stuff going on, particles, space dust. And there's some stuff in some of those pictures, there do look like little bits of fire in there, little bits of flame, and why can't that be sentient? Why can't those flames be alive? They may not necessarily have the capacity of thought, maybe, but maybe they do have a decision on which way they kind of, if they want to float over here a little bit, or if they want to float over there a little bit. I don't know. I don't know. And if that's a little too abstract, then why not like a star? Why not just a star? What's to say a star is not alive? Would we even have the capacity to know if a star is alive or not? It's doing stuff. Like, stars aren't just sitting there not doing nothing. It's not a rock, right? Stars aren't rocks. It's doing something. It's doing something very complex. So, could it be that cosmically, stars are some sort of cosmic entity that is like eating stuff, and that's what we know as fusion, right? Does that make sense? And I'm not talking about it in the way that the Aztecs or somebody thought that the sun was alive or something like that. I'm not saying it's like a god. It's just some like weird little creature. Little. Something like 3,000 Earths can fit in the sun. Yeah, just a little creature here. But yeah, like, what about Earth itself, you know? Okay, so the way I understand Earth and Mars is that Earth's core is molten, or maybe not the core itself, but Earth has a molten interior to some extent. But Mars, its interior is not. Oh, I'm dying. Its interior is not molten. It is stagnant, right? It's stagnant. It's been solidified. I think that's how I understand it. Last I've heard about it. So who's to say? I'm wagging my finger. Who's to say that Earth is not alive, and that Mars is not an entity that once was alive? So Earth is alive now because it's got a healthy core, a healthy magma flow and all that. And Mars is dead because it doesn't have those things. It's all dried up. It's withered away. It's died. No atmosphere. All that good stuff. And not in like the metaphorical sense where Earth is alive. You know what I mean? Like metaphorically. No, like literally. Earth. How do we know that Earth isn't alive, and that Mars isn't dead, but was once alive, but is actually just dead? You know? How do we know? Because of, like, science? Maybe, but I'm not a scientist, if you couldn't tell. Believe it or not, I'm in fact not a scientist. Although I probably could have fooled you, probably, maybe, about my wild theories and my wild hypotheses. But no, I am not a scientist. Sorry to disappoint. I'm just an idiot asking questions. Under the guise of profaneness. Profoundness. Under the... I don't know. But speculative biology is fun. Thinking back to, like, the fire example. And I was trying to challenge myself. So, like, the concept of, like, living fire, that's something I've been thinking about for a while. And I thought after that, why not? If there's living fire, why can't there be, like, living icicle creatures? Like, living ice. Or like, living diamonds. Or crystal. Oh, that's actually... Wait, no, Star Wars did. Or Star Trek did that. The crystalline entity. Yeah, that's interesting. So, like, yeah. What about the crystalline entity from Star Trek? That's interesting. Like, why can't something like that exist? Why is that so sci-fi fantastical, or could something like that actually exist? Not exactly like the crystalline entity from Star Trek, because that thing like shoots laser beams and stuff. but it, like a salt crystal based creature. Because the reason that carbon is so good for creating life is because it can like make a lattice of itself very well, right? Like the structure of carbon can build itself, it can build up in a very good way. I don't think I'm explaining this very well. Look it up. But why can't crystals they can build crystal compounds. Crystals can form structures as well. That's why they're crystals. You know, that's why crystals exist, because of the way they can form structure. So, could crystals be a basis of life as well? Like salt? Salt-based life forms? More carbon-based than, like, the creatures who live on Pluto are salt-based life forms? Is that far-fetched? I don't know. I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. But hey, if you're like in high school or something, college even, please take these questions to your professor or your science teacher. Please, I would love to hear what they say. Let me know what they say, and if they make fun of you, tell them it was me who said it. Like, show them my YouTube channel and be like, yo, no, it wasn't me who really was asking me. It was this dumb guy who plays Elder Scrolls. It was this stupid guy's asking questions. It's not from me. But anyways, that's gonna do it for this episode. Yeah, I hope I left you with some something to think about. Your homework is to write an essay on what other types of life forms there can be. But anyways, if you like this video, why don't you go ahead and hit the like button. Hey, I'm trying to talk. I am trying to talk. Excuse you? I'm trying to talk. I gotta leave them so I can sign out. Anyways, yeah, if you like that, why don't you go ahead and hit the like button. If you haven't already subscribed, why don't you go do that too? It'll make me feel real good. But that's going to do it for this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!